We are doing this webinar just to whet our appetite about greater things we can learn together. I will go straight into what we have. And the first thing I want to present before us are things I find that great leaders do as a habit, an everyday habit. And I want to encourage you to inculcate these habits. They would help you. I'm believing some of you already do that. And for anyone who hasn't started these habits that I'm going to mention, I encourage you to please cue in, because it's going to help you with your leadership wherever you are as a leader. And that is the fact that we are learners. We are learners. The first time I learned that, it was more like a mind-blowing thing to know that all I have to be doing in my life is learning. In fact, when someone asks me, what do you do? I say, I'm a learner. I keep learning. I learn from anyone, from everywhere, from older people, people my age, younger ones, even little kids. I learn from them. And I call it the right attitude to learning. The right attitude to learning. The first one is cultivate the habit of reading. Very important. The knowledge you are searching for, you can find in a book of probably 250 pages, where someone has written information that he or she has gone through, maybe 40 years of their lives, and they want to share that with you. It costs you just a few coins, I would say, to get that book, and you would discover more than what a verbal conversation will give you. If it's a good book, the person has done research and taking time to write what they have written. So cultivate the habit of reading. The second one is cultivate the habit of writing. Writing is so important that you pay attention that what you hear, you jot down. A good habit of having a journal, if you don't have an iPad or any other device that you can type in, cultivate that habit of jotting down things, because your memory will fail you. Sometimes you think, I heard it, I will remember it, but give yourself probably 5 minutes. You've forgotten what was said. If you have a sharp memory, maybe a few days, and you might forget. So cultivate the habit of writing. And number 3, cultivate the habit of investing time and money into your learning process. Time and money. Invest it into your learning process. It's important you create time. Create time to read. Create time to research. Create time to learn. Whatever knowledge we need is out here. And we need to create time and invest our money. Invest our money. It's something that bothers me to see that we don't have a reading culture. We don't have a writing culture. I think my generation benefited from reading culture. We had a lot of information right before us, and especially in this country, we had a lot of books that were flooded in here in the 70s, in the 80s, and in the 90s. And we had cultivated the habit of reading. So that makes you wise, it makes you smart, it makes you relevant. So invest time into, I'm going to read a scripture to us. And that is Mark 12, 30 and 31. Mark 12, 30 and 31. In that scripture, Jesus replied to a lawyer, a religious lawyer, who asked him the greatest commandment. And Jesus replied, the most important commandment is this: listen, O Israel, the Lord our God is the one and only Lord. And you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and all your strength. The second is equally important. Love your neighbor as yourself. No other commandment is greater than this. That's Mark 12, 30 and 31. Uniquely different. Uniquely different. I believe what I'm sharing with us would help us to appreciate our individuality and appreciate our uniqueness. Every one of us is unique. We are not the same. And sometimes we don't appreciate this. We don't even realize the difference between us and other people. And even when we realize we are different from others, there's the temptation of wanting to make everybody to look like us and behave like us. And that yields sometimes a big pushback. A big pushback because people want to be themselves. They just can't fit into who you are. So I believe that this would go a long way to help us appreciate the differences in who we are. Now, in this passage I read, I'll take a little lesson out of it. The Lord Jesus gave us he summed up the 10 commandments into these two that we have just read. That he said the first commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart. It's only one Lord, and the way I can fit it into what we are sharing is this. For me to appreciate another person who is different from me will take a mindset that acknowledges that this individual and every individual that is different from me is from God. We are all from God. The mindset of respecting the individuality that God has put in each person. The mindset to honor the dignity of each personality. And then he said the second is to love my neighbor as myself. And whenever I read that line, my understanding is I must love myself to be able to love my neighbor as myself. Jesus didn't put it in a way that we can see the importance of self-love. And when I say self-love, I'm not talking about pride, I'm not talking about arrogance. I'm talking about you assessing your personality, assessing why you do things the way you do things. No normal person will fight himself or herself. You respect yourself. You love yourself. You take care of yourself. Those are the signs of loving yourself. You take care of yourself. You feed yourself. You clothe yourself. You protect yourself. You're careful where you go, where you don't go, what you do and what you don't do. So if you are able to assess yourself, it becomes easy for you to assess another person. If you know why you get so excited about life, you're all the time happy, jolly, and you respect whatever it is that makes you feel that way. You're excited about friends. You're excited about life generally. Yet there are people who don't show that excitement the way you show it. That shows your uniqueness. There are people who are happy, excited, but they are calm inside. They are not talking. They are not, running around expressing so much excitement. That doesn't mean they are not happy as much as you are, but they are uniquely different from you. When you are able to appreciate who God made you to be and who you are, the way you've been living your life, when you appreciate that and can see that uniqueness in you, it helps you as a leader to also assess the people that are around you. In our courses, in our institute, Leadership Institute, we have courses that teaches you about team leadership, how to work with other people. If you cannot access yourself, you cannot access any other person. If you attribute your anger to what somebody has done, it's because he said this or did this. If you always will attribute your mistakes to other people, standing in your way, then it will be difficult for you to have people around you that will work with you. And we don't do life alone. That's not God's intention. We don't do life alone. Now, having said this much about the uniqueness of each individual, I want to give us at least some points on our uniqueness. The first one is self-love that I've mentioned. Self-love is indicative of how we treat another person. If I'm an angry person, I'm going to be angry with people. I will talk to people angrily without assessing why I'm doing that. They may not be responsible for my anger. If I'm insecure, insecurity plays a big role in the way we treat other people. So there's need for me to understand myself. There's need for you to understand yourself. Now let me go to our backgrounds. Some of us, because of the backgrounds we've had in life, some went through real rough time. The upbringing was very harsh. The discipline was without love. And for some, it's hardship. There might be love in the family, but hardship. Those things that happen to us in our early years, they affect us all through our lives. In fact, they shape the way our lives turn out. And If we can understand where our behaviors and our pattern of communication are coming from, then we will be careful what we say and do to others. In the Bible, Paul says to us, "Owe no man nothing but love." I will use myself as an example. Growing up in a family where there was love, there was enough to eat, there was the needs of life that any other family would desire, we had that. But for me, I never felt wanted, never felt a sense of belonging, never felt I was loved. I didn't know anything about love. Now, coming from that background, and I would say because my two parents died before I turned 10, so you can imagine what happens to any child whose parents are not alive. We are with one relative or the other, pushed around, and all the abuses that come from that kind of relationships. So I grew up an angry child because a lot of negative things were spoken to me. I grew up a negative child, my thoughts. I grew up wanting to take revenge on anybody around me. I grew up wanting, to get back at people who did nothing to me. Now, with that background, I'm speaking to you, Christian leaders. With that background, my personality was formed. And much of the things that will come out of your background, you may never think is coming from that place, but it's coming from that place. And the way you go about with life, even into your adulthood, you may find people resent you. People avoid you. They don't want to be around you. And it becomes harder to be a leader. And what I would encourage you about this self-love that I'm talking about is you need to do self-assessment. You need to do self-assessment. Without you doing your personal self-assessment, you will not discover yourself. And we thank God for psychologists that have studied, did their research decades of years, hundreds. They have studied and have designed an assessment form that you can fill and answer the questions there. And those questions, you will be amazed. Those questions will really bring out who you are. Two things that will come out of that assessment: your strengths and your weaknesses. You will see that you have strengths that God has embedded in your life. You also will see the weaknesses. Your strength will encourage you that I have something good in me. I have positive things that I can offer. And you also see those weaknesses, and those weaknesses are the ones you really pay attention to minimize them. And thank God we have a great tool. We have the scriptures. We have the Bible. It has a transforming power to change us from those natural traits into a transformed trait that will be admirable. So self-love is important. Until you are able to assess yourself, know your strengths and your weaknesses, you will not love yourself. You know, our background sometimes make us hate ourselves. You can't stand yourself in the mirror. Let everybody tell you how beautiful you are, how handsome you are. Something you have heard in the past is telling you are the most ugly person that you have ever seen. So we need to do that self-assessment. And with our Leadership Institute, that is our first module. Our first module is the leader and his personality. And then we also teach people skills. So the first thing I've shared with us is self-love. It's indicative of how we treat another person. The second is self-assessment. I've already spoken about self-assessment as key to understanding why you do things the way you do and how we perceive and understand personality types is our communication, the way we communicate, and also the way we behave, the way we do things. I go to my third point, and I want to talk about the 4 personality types. Some of you might be aware of them. The author, Tim LaHaye, he wrote a book many decades ago that is still very helpful. He was a Christian psychologist. And he brought out these 4 temperaments. I will also merge it with the recent researches that have been done on personality types. We have, number 1, the sanguine. The sanguine is also called the artisan. I'm sure you know the people that are called artisans. They are handy people, they are practical people, they are lively, excited, they love life, they love people, they love to be in the midst of people. And when they are in the midst of the people, they are the life of the party. They talk. They have no restraints. They will talk. They can celebrate and just be themselves. The second personality type is called the melancholy, which is also called the guardians. The melancholy are unlike the sanguines. The sanguines are extroverted. The melancholics are introverted. They keep to themselves. They are so shy. They are not comfortable in the midst of people. They don't say much. But that doesn't mean something is wrong with them. That is their uniqueness. That is their uniqueness. There are people that are called guardians. And I would, as I go down, I would show us what each of these temperaments do. And these temperaments are not something you choose. You say, oh, I think I'm a sanguine. Oh, I think I'm a melancholy because you like the traits. No, they are inbuilt. Your genes give you the personality. And number 2, the environment. They add to your personality. So the melancholics are guardians. And the third personality type are called the choleric. They are the idealists. Everything has to be perfect. They are perfectionists. Detail. And they are always described as people who are hard or difficult to please. But they have a structured mind. They have a structured mind. They are disciplinarians. The sanguine has a weakness for discipline. A sanguine parent will not rise up to confront the behaviors of the children. They will shy away. They will rather play with the kids, make them happy. They always want everybody happy. But the sanguine parents, the choleric parents will want discipline, want order. Everything has to be in order. Like it said, about every T has to be crossed, every I dotted. That's the choleric, idealist. And then the fourth one I call the phlegmatics. The phlegmatics are also called the rational. The way you will appreciate these temperament types is when you do some detailed studies. The materials are available. They are available. They are accessible. And let this first webinar whet your appetite so that you are looking forward to more studies, not just this one. Now, these 4 personality types has, further studies show that there are 16 combinations out of the 4 temperaments. Now let's go down and look at the different 4 combinations under each of the temperaments. I want to appeal to anybody listening to me who has never heard this thought. Don't be thrown off. Don't be thrown off balance. Don't say to yourself, I can't understand what is going on here. It's not a preaching session. It is a teaching session, and it has to do with academics. It has to do with academics. So with the sanguines, like I said, are artisans, handy people. And let's see where the future in life. Number 1, they are promoters. People who promote business, promote things. They don't have any inhibition in flowing with their thoughts, talking about it. They are promoters. They are crafters. They know how to craft things. They are performers. They are performers. You need to see the sanguine artisan. They are performers. They can dance. They are stage people. Okay? And then they are composers. They are composers. The sanguines also, like every other personality type, they have their weaknesses. When I teach this, I always love to encourage my students to go and do their research. Read it yourself, study it, so that you can manage your weakness by yourself. Not everybody likes to be told, you're such a talkative, you need to tone down on your talking. You're always running all over the place, because with the artisan, everything about them shows loud. So each of the temperaments have their weaknesses. So the sanguines, or let me put it this way, any strength that goes to the extreme becomes a weakness. So you're talking that makes you bold, you can stand before people, you can express yourself, your words just flow. You can also drive it to extreme, where nobody wants to hear you because they see you as loud and noisy. And especially when you are not saying things that make sense. So study, you need to study and find out the weaknesses in your personality. Then for the melancholics, they are guardians. And let's see the profession in life where they feature most. They are supervisors. Natural, it flows natural from them. Whether they went to school or didn't go to school, they have that trait in them. Supervisors, inspectors, and they are great providers. They are great providers. And they are experts at protecting. A family man who is a melancholic guardian protects his family. A wife, a mother who is melancholic guardian protects the family. They are protectors. And we can also take this to the larger society, and you see where these temperaments fit in. So let me talk about the choleric, the idealist. The cholerics are expert teachers. They are thinkers. In fact, the last two that I will mention, they are thinkers. They use their mind a lot. And you don't get them talking so much. When it comes to their social life, they can be very boring. For the extroverted person, they don't like the introverted people because they can be boring. They say few words, but in their minds, they are thinkers. They are analyzing. They have a structured mind. They can analyze situations and come up with solutions that will be lasting. While the sanguine just talks. They just love talking. Whatever they see, they are talking about it. Not much of the doing. But for the cholerics, let's see the professions that they show up in. They are teachers. They teach. Now, when I say teachers, not necessarily a teacher in a school, but yes, it's part of it. But they teach all the time. I can say they teach 24/7. They teach everything. How you drink water, how you dress up, how you keep something clean. They teach. They are teachers. Number two, they are counselors. I hope you know the difference between counselors and advisors. They are counselors. They counsel you in situations of life. Number three, they are champions. They will stand up for you. They will fight for you. They are out to help you. They are champions. They believe in winning. They don't believe in losing. And lastly, with the choleric idealist, they are healers. Now, the teacher, the counselor, work more with words. The words. So their words, the choleric idealist, their words heal. When they speak, their words go deep into you. And they are people who are given to research. I go to the last temperament, which is the phlegmatic. The phlegmatic rationale. They are field marshal. They are field marshal. They are masterminds. They are inventors. They are architects. So they create. Now, some of us might have adult children. And as you are listening to this sharing, your mind might reflect on your children, reflect on how life had been in your home. And if your children have already left home, you might, in these few minutes that I've shared this, you might reflect on one or two of your children. And a choleric child is always seen as a stubborn child, as a heady child. And they are people of their own mind. They love to speak their mind. I've counseled with parents whose young teenage children, maybe 13 years, 14 years, they are just stepping into teen life. And that child argues with the parents. Whatever the parents say, they have a different opinion. I talked to a child that was about 13 years old. The parents brought him to me. I told them to come with him. And, you know, these things we are learning, they are so key to life. I asked the child, would you want your mom stay while we talk? He said yes. I asked the mom, would you want to stay while we talk? She said yes. She asked the son. The son said, I don't have any problem. And he said to me, I listen to my parents, I obey them, but they don't understand me. They just don't understand me. Now you, the parents, hearing that, your first reaction will be anger. The child I gave birth to is saying, I don't understand him. What does it mean? What does he know? You are uniquely different. Everyone is uniquely different. You see the importance why we need to study these things. If you really want to lead people, because leadership is about people. Leadership is not about money. Yeah, money is there, but leadership is not about position. Leadership is not about fame. Leadership is about people. It's about showing people God's love. And I can't give or show what I don't have. It has to flow from within me. I have to take my time to study myself and bring myself to a level. It took me many years. I can tell you, the first time I was introduced to a study like this was at the Bible seminary. And there, we were taught by the Americans. I didn't know it was called psychology at that point, but they taught us the different ages in life and how each age group behaved. And it fascinated me. Then when I became a leader pretty early in life. When I became a leader, and with my baggage from my background, it was difficult to love people. It was difficult to associate with people. And being introverted, that social life is such a drag. So it took me years to begin to learn. It was introduced to me in 1981, and I've been in the study of it, human behavior. That's what it's all about, human behavior. Why do people do things the way they do? Why do they talk the way they talk? I had to learn and understand myself first. Why do I get so angry with people? Why do I snap at people? Why do I say things the way I say them? Why do I view things the way I view things? I had to understand myself first, and that helped me to reach out to other people, to understand them. And with age, I can tell you that my understanding of human behavior is maturing. And I'm loving who I'm becoming in my journey. I'm seeing that I'm able to help more people than I had done in the past. I want to believe what I've shared would whet your appetite. You want to learn more, want to understand yourself, want to be able to help others, to invest yourself in others. And for you who is a leader in the house of God, you need to know how to manage people. There's so much we can learn. There's so much. I want to encourage you. Take advantage of the courses we have in our People-Focused Leadership Institute. That's the name of the institute, People-Focused Leadership Institute. Take advantage of the courses there. I'm hoping that the network allows Pastor Kenny to be able to share more about the institute. God bless you. It's been nice talking with you.